Sunday morning here out at our property. Beautiful day today. And we've just come down to have a look along our riverbank. We've had probably a good 5 or 6 nights in a row of some really interesting activity down on the riverbank. And we're just coming down, got a bit of time today, so we're just been looking up and down the bank. We've found some really interesting things, so I'm just going to go and have a look at some stuff. We found some hair, found some footprints. Yeah, found one of our dead chickens that looks like it's been plucked. So just some really crazy stuff. I'm standing close to the riverbank. The trees behind me are the trees that line our riverbank. There's plenty of coverage there for whatever wants to hide. But if I just sort of pan around, that there's just sort of the paddock that sort of comes down from our house. That's our new house being built up there. So you can see it drops down a fair way. It comes down, and then right along the riverbank here is just this real deep sort of fairly dense rainforest type foliage, which is plenty of cover for anything, and it drops down really deeply. See down there at the edge of the trees, it actually drops down in some places, 8 to 10 feet. Easily enough coverage for anything to hide, especially something big. Not a problem at all. I'm just going to go down. First of all, going to look at some different things that my wife and my daughter have found. So let's go and have a look. So right down on the riverbank now, that's the water down there, that's the Albert River. All the way up through here is all these trails of something walking through. We used to, before probably about a month ago or so ago, we used to just put it down to our dog that used to walk up and down here all the time, but she's no longer with us. The only other animals that can walk up and down through here are our sheep, and we're pretty convinced we've only got 5 or 6 sheep, and they spend most of their time up in the paddock, so they don't regularly walk up and down here. There's a lot of traffic still walking through here, and I'm just going to make my way down the track here and show you some different things. Alright, so we're just down on, walking along one of the trails, and it's clearly, well, we can't really see it clearly on a camera, but we can see it clearly here. There's a distinct trail that walks up along the riverbank, up through there, through the trees. You can see where it parts its way through the lantana. And right back here where we're standing, I'm here with my wife, and she has discovered a really nice bit of hair. Probably, I'm about 6'1", and it's about my nose height as I'm standing next to this tree along the riverbank. That's the bit of hair there. I'll zoom really close in on it. Definitely a bit of hair there. And there's no way that that can be anything shorter than something of about at least 6 foot. Now sheep, I can guarantee, it's definitely not sheep hair, it's definitely a strand of something. Definitely not wool, should I say. You'd say sheep hair.
So we're going to send it away. We're going to try to send it away, yeah.
We're looking at sending some of it away for some DNA analysis, which should be confirm at least what it is or what it isn't. A little bit there caught on the edge of that twig. There's also some other hair / possibly some wool here. This stuff was found more down around probably knee height. Possibly some of this here could be actually sheep wool, but we're going to take it in anyhow. Some more strands of stuff here, which probably doesn't necessarily look like wool, but even all along this twig here, look.
Yeah.
It's just hair, so we'll take that up. I'll send it away somewhere. Don't know where yet, but we'll find someone who can check it out. But this is the real interesting one. Like if I stand back here with the camera, honey, you want to stand up next to the tree? Now, how tall are you?
5'5".
So 5'5". So that's at about your head height. Just point to the hair. So that's the hair there. So I'd imagine if it's brushed there, it's probably...
It's just like a champagne colour, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like a champagne-y.
So it's probably around, I reckon that'd be, if it was brushing past there, possibly a shoulder. Possibly.
Or an arm.
Yep. Alright, let's move along. Moving a little bit further along, we're only about 2 metres from where we found the hair, but there's all these sort of deep depressions here. Not definitive footmarks, but something's definitely made an imprint there. It's fairly large. Yeah, there's definitely weight put on there at some stage. Possibly a footprint. And then it continues on. You just see the wear marks of this trail through here. Just cleared tracks. All those sorts of depressions here. Some of them could be sheep, quite possible. It's a big open bare patch there. When we move through, we're just going through a patch of lantana here. There's definitely been parted. There's possibly even some hair here. If you look on this stuff here, lantana is quite a very spiky sort of texture along the stem, so it's quite easy to catch hair and wool of any animal that sort of walks past, but can't really see anything on this one. One of the advantages of anything walking up and down the riverbank here is if they wanted to cover their tracks. Sort of a heck of a lot of leaf coverage here. And at the moment we haven't had a lot of rain lately, so the ground is very hard. A lot of the depressions that I'm finding are actually been made a little while ago, probably from the last rain. Having said that, the trails through here are fairly clearly defined, although, like I said before, the camera doesn't really pick it up. You can sort of see just on the edge of that little rise there, it's been worn away. Something's definitely moving up and down there. You're not going to find a sheep going up something that steep. They're going to go around. Obviously foxes are definitely a good chance of walking up and down here. Also wild dogs tend to wander up and down the riverbank, although we don't tend to see a lot of wild dogs, and the foxes seem to turn up sporadically. They haven't been around recently that I've observed, but like I said, we've had some other activity. So through here, there's definitely a path going there between these two fig trees here. These Australian sort of native rainforest trees. There's also another trail going to the right. These things provide fantastic foliage and coverage. Really, it's actually really pleasant down here by the river. It's very nice. Okay, we're back in the same spot where we found the other hare, on the same tree. And what did you find, hun?
Hair. Well, I was looking up to see if there was any hair anywhere, and up here, I broke off this bit from here, right there, yep. And there's hair underneath, caught on the leaf.
Trying to capture it up on the camera here. Oh yeah, you just picked it
Dark
out, look at that.
Different colour to that champagne colour though.
Definitely hair though, isn't it?
Yep.
And that's very high.
Yep.
That would be
my arm height.
That would be at least, if I was standing, I reckon that'd be about 6'5" off the ground. At least, maybe more if I stand down there. That's about, yeah, it's good 4 inches or so above my head. I reckon it's about 6'6" off the ground. That's pretty high. And it's interestingly at the same point where we found the other hare, but a different colour. So we're going to get the tweezers.
Here's some more hair that I just picked off.
And a plastic bag, and we're actually going to come down and save these samples. That's cool. So we're standing at the edge of the tree line on the riverbank. That's heading up towards the rest of the property. And we're, like I said, standing at the edge of the tree line. Dense foliage, and we're at a really interesting point at the riverbank where there appears to be a heck of a lot of activity coming in and out. And I'm thinking this may be a main entry-exit point for the Yowie coming on and off the riverbank. There's a heck of a lot of traffic there. Admittedly, there'd be a lot of sheep coming through here too. There's a lot of grass around this area, but there's a lot of places in here that are fairly inaccessible to sheep, and they just wouldn't bother. For example, a lot of trees falling over there that are fairly high, making it really difficult. But the interesting thing here is, one, this is where Beck discovered some of the hair and the wool. And there's actually still a bit there, Beck. You want to have a look at that? So this is one.
Might be Sean's or
This potentially could be sheep, couldn't it?
Yeah, it's not. Yeah,
different
texture.
It's not the. We've got Damara cross
No,
Dorpers here, and that's at the height where it's probably sheep. But we're going to take it anyhow because they have a sort of a hair-like strand sort of coat. It's not a traditional wool that you'd find on most sheep. But we'll take it and have a look at it anyhow. And what else have we found here, honey? You discovered this. What do we got here?
Chicken feathers, but they're not our chicken.
I wonder if they're possibly ducks.
Well, it could be duck feathers. Actually, you're right. It could be duck. So they do sleep on the water at night.
And that would explain why we got the different colours. So, funny thing is with these, there's a heck of a lot of feathers here. Combination of sort of grey, white and black, and actually yeah, that is duck. Look at that. See the different, the green there? Yeah. So a theory that it's one of our chickens that went missing about 3 or 4 weeks ago is thrown out the window. This is definitely a duck. It's got the different colours. Look, the really interesting thing about this, just a nice feather. Look at the purple on that.
Can't see it, but yeah.
Have a look at that.
I can't. I'm colourblind, hun.
Oh, take it up and show James.
Oh,
and there's another one. The interesting thing about this, that I find very interesting, is there's a heck of a lot of feathers here, and it almost looks like it's been plucked. The other interesting fact about this too is that where it's been defeathered or plucked is that there's a hollow created in the foliage here. Hollow that's quite large. We've got a massive big tree here, which probably has a thickness of about 3 feet, 2.5 to 3 feet, which blocks it from view from the rest of the property. And there's a nice little covering of foliage over the top, and it looks like anything quite large could actually sit in there. Actually, if you want to hold the camera, I'll go and sit in there. I didn't press the snapshot button, did I?
I don't know. Oh no, it's on record.
So as you can see, I can sit in here quite easily. Plenty of room above me. And funnily enough, hun, look what I found here. Come and have a look at this. Look at this. Heck, that is hair.
Oh yeah, it's not sheep. Wait.
That's not sheep.
Wait.
That is not sheep.
Wait, if you go in front of it with your dark shirt, might.
Yep.
There we go. Yeah, just go up a bit with your dark shirt.
If you come in closer, it should real focus. That's what I did on the other hair. That is not sheep. So my theory is it comes in here to eat. There's no carcass left here. It's all gone, all the bones, no rotting flesh. This is just feathers. Something's plucked that. That is a mate. We've got to come and get a sample of that too. Alright, all along here. I didn't see that until I come in. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that.
Oh, that's hair. That's not sheep hair.
Holy crap. Holy crap. And here too. That's lighter. All in here too. That there, actually that there looks a bit different. That could possibly be sheep there, but that's not sheep.
Oh, it's too straight. And fine.
Yeah, it's a different texture, isn't it?
And that hair up on the tree's fine too, hun? The champagne colour hair?
Yeah. Actually looks very similar to that, doesn't it? Alright.
And actually there's nothing, our sheep aren't that high, that would get hair up there.
It'd be interesting to bring one of them down here and...
They're not that high, hun. They're not that high. They're not up to my waist.
It's up to my head. And if I sit right next to it... Right, I've just stepped a little bit further inside the foliage. That's where the duck feathers were. You can see the little hollow there. So there's definitely a little trail coming down through there to where I'm standing. This is my feet. Also across the logs, just where Beck's standing. Across the logs, and then the trail sort of goes through here. Now right where I'm standing, looking back out onto the riverbank through there, this is where I saw the eyes glowing through the foliage the other night. The eyes were a orangey red glow. I saw them probably for a period of about maybe 20 seconds before I shone the torch back up to look at something else, and then as soon as I shone it,
to run up and get the camera.
Oh, that's right. I asked Beck to go up and get the camera, and then I shone back down here, and the eyes had gone. That was shortly after seeing another set of eyes, which were more like a bright yellow colour, which was hiding up behind some of the lantana bushes and trees, and possibly behind a mound up there near our mulberry tree, which is a little bit further that direction, about 40, probably 30 to 40 metres. Now the trail continues that way, goes along the riverbank. As you can see, there's the water down there. That's the Albert River. The bank is really, really steep here. Probably from where I am down into the river, I would estimate probably at least 5 metres down to the river. But as you can see, there's a trail up through there, and there's a bit more of a trail up through to the right. There's a heck of a lot of traffic through here. There's definitely a definitive track, without a doubt, going up through there. Just following the trail along the bank, going up through there. I don't know if the camera picks that up too well, but it's a definitive little path there. Another definitive trail up through there. There's also one that runs along the bank back to where I was standing earlier. But I'm pushing up towards the little hollow in our bank up here where we've found some definitive footprints in the past. And also it's an interesting hiding place, which I'm just approaching now. And my theory being, we're just approaching the edge of it, so we're just down here. That's a little hollow there. It's surrounded, as you can see, the bank sort of eroded away over time. We get a lot of floods through here, where the water is probably at least maybe 5 or 6 metres above my head here, maybe more. So this is a really nice little carved hollow. It's down at the water's edge. My theory is that the Yowies are using the river as a bit of a highway. Across there through the trees there's actually a creek which goes into the neighbouring property across the river, which is, it's like a gauntlet. It has really high walls, make perfect coverage for anything that wanted to walk through there, and that leads further on up to another road, across the road, and you're into national forest. So at the end of all the water systems here, the rivers and the creeks, they all end up in national forests. Now this little hollow here, I'm looking down, I'm going to drop down there soon, but down there on the, you can see a whole heap of that ground cover there. I've actually cleared the edge of that away. I couldn't see any footprints on the bare stuff here, but as I cleared that away, it's interesting, there's quite a lot of sort of dead stuff that's been squashed, and there's actually some quite interesting depressions down there which I really think are footprints. There was one occasion where we were down here before where we found a really deep, quite defined footprint which we took a cast of. These are not so defined, but indicate something heavy and something large. But I'm going to drop down there and take a look at it. Okay, down in the hollow now. As you can see, the bank dropping down in here is quite high, so it's quite difficult to slide down in here, especially me with my crotchety knee. And I'm just quickly coming down here. This is sort of a good area to climb up here. There's some roots to grab hold of in the trees. As we come down here, there's a really definitive depression here, quite heavy, sort of mark an outline, similar shape to a foot, comes down into a heel area there. If I put my foot there myself, it's probably about twice the size of mine, maybe looking at a size 16, 18, maybe probably bigger. It's a lot wider than mine. Now back into this section here, this is the area that I cleared. It's sort of a little bit dead here, like it's had some traffic through here, and it's interesting. And again, deep depressions right in here, like toe prints. And it's sort of all in the shape of a foot. While it's not clearly a footprint depression, it's in the shape of a footprint. It's something heavy, and I think it's the foliage that actually prevents it from creating a more clear footprint. Even stepping back further, there's another one in there. There's quite a deep one here along that ridge line there. What you got to understand is when it rains through here, this gets really, really wet. At the moment it's quite hard, cake-like rock, but you can see how wide that is there. Something's definitely trodden there. created a depression, even in there as well. And I haven't cleared the foliage, any further foliage away, but that sort of leads right down into the river. And that's the little Gauntlet Creek that I was talking about before. There's a creek up that way which eventually leads to a national forest over towards Yarrabilba Way. Heading up that direction of the river, there's another creek which leads all the way through neighbouring properties over into the Tamborine National Forest. And it's my theory that they're using the creeks and the river, and we happen to be one of the residents that sit on their highway. It's definitely movement here in the clear patches, but you know, footprints, depressions, things like that, but nothing that you can clearly say is a footprint, but they could be. But it's interesting, the traffic along the edge. It seems to be like they're trying to avoid detection. See, there's a lot of dead stuff there. Well, not so much dead, but depressed coverage. And I think they're jumping over there, walking along the edge of the ground cover so they're not getting detected, and then up onto the riverbank and then up and down from there. And they certainly walk along the riverbank up this way. Again, this is possibly another climbing point, although it's a lot more difficult. I find this really hard to get up here, but I'm thinking more about here. And there's more tracks, and up there is where we see the eyes on a regular basis. So just down at the riverbank again, and I found this print that's sort of walking up the bank here towards the top there. I'm sort of down halfway down on the bank, and this is from the footpath, or the little track that comes from the area where we found the footprint before. And this looks like it's dug its toe in to climb the bank. And we've got like a big toe print there, and then we got the 1, 2, 3 and 4 smaller toes there digging in. Looks like it almost slid down to climb that hill, the mound. So it's, yeah, it's a bit interesting. Trying to get a decent angle so it picks it up on. So there's the big toe print there. The camera doesn't really pick it up real well.
Is this
and the smaller ones?
Stepped at? Right here?
3, 4. Oh yeah, all 3 here. There's impressions, and some of them are ours. But Lauren and I discovered this one this morning. So I'm pretty sure this is pretty fresh. It wasn't made by us. That's pretty big, that is.
How fresh do you think?
Oh, last night, yeah.
Oh, that's scary.
Night before. Probably last night.
That's a huge toe. Like, that is this bigger than your lollipop toes.
Of course it is.
It's like the size.
Yeah, sort of consistent with the size of that cast we got the other day.
Yeah.
It looks like the toes have slid on the ground too, but the big toe hasn't really slid. It's just strange. Maybe it curls its little toes. Anyhow, that's pretty. The others are coming.
Anything else that you can see?
I don't know, Rain, is there anything else? It's freaky.